gaining clarity on what's most important to you and using that as a foundation to structure personal and business goals. Like clearly that works for people. We've got, shameless self-promotion. The three folks that are on our panel are actually 4 under 40 winners over the last couple of years. And no coincidence, these are all either current or past coaching clients of Freedom Personal Development. So, that's like, I feel like a proud papa right now. But really the purpose of today is to make sure that everyone on the call, on the video, on the chat, on the webinar, the goal is to make sure that you're walking out of here with at least 1 or 2 good, solid nuggets, understanding ways, what it means to put together a blueprint or a plan for breaking through to that next level of success. So many of the clients that we work with, I can speak for myself. I know Roger and I have had this conversation a bunch too. Regardless of if you're a month into this thing or decades into your career, at some point you plateau, right? You get yourself to a certain level, and just for a lot of different reasons, you end up a little bit stuck. And what it takes to break through that plateau is get help, get invested, and get away. And so what we want to talk about today is what it means to get some help, what kind of investment that looks like, not just financially, but from a time commitment, and the benefit of getting away and spending time with somebody like a coach who can be in your corner to help facilitate that. So for those of you that don't know, we've got Dane Johnston. Again, if you don't know who Dane is, just check the bottom of the last couple of emails you've gotten from NAIFA-Iowa. He's kind of in charge right now. We got Travis Risvold, who has made some amazing changes and shifts in his life and his business. And I think no coincidence is a 400 photo winner. And then Todd Wildman Gullickson, Todd Bright Shiny Object Journal Gullickson. You still using that thing, by the way? I talk about you all the time.
Yeah.
I worked with Todd and his brother a couple years ago with the Gullickson Group in getting their business up and running. So, guys, thanks so much for being a part of the program and today's call. And so I guess I want to kind of dive in and go, all right, at one point in the last couple of years, I think that, Dane, I saw you going bobblehead doll on me, and we talked about that plateau thing. Talk to me, guys, just take a second. Talk to me about like where you were at when you realized that you had plateaued. What had you done? How did you get to where you were? And kind of give us a little state of the union as far as where you were before you decided to seek some help. Todd, I just saw you take a drink, so you got the whistle wet. I'll let you go first.
Oh, sounds good. So I was, I guess, where did it start out with? The normal process I'm guessing that most of us have gone through as advisors is you start out and all you worry about is prospecting and finding people. And then all of a sudden you figure out that you can keep doing that all day long and you kind of feel like a hamster on a wheel. Sometimes, are you getting enough, moving enough forward? And so you take a step back, or you try to take a step back and look at what's the next thing to kind of start you into the next, part of your business. For me, it was different points along the way. I think it started out with, hey, first time I decided, okay, it's time to maybe invest in technology to get a laptop. Now, 20 years ago, that was actually kind of an investment. Like $3,000 for a new guy was like, whoa. I mean, maybe more than my first few cars, right? So, anyway, there were different points where I made additional investments. Probably right after that one, the next one I could, see would be having staff. And then the one we're going to talk about a little bit today, I hope, is the decision to step back and have somebody else take a look at my business and what I'm doing and how to be more efficient and effective with my time so that I'm spending my time on the right things. So,
So really kind of, and this is maybe a step and a half ahead, maybe not, but really mentally for you, what you realize is that there is a next level. There's always going to be a next level for you. And just identifying what the right fit is, like what is the piece that goes in that puzzle at that time is kind of what I don't want to speak for you, but that's kind of.
Absolutely. Trying to figure out, and that's everybody has their own next level, right? So some people, maybe the next level is, hey, you want to have enough time in your day so you can spend more time with your family. You want to make sure you make it all your kids' events. Maybe for some people, it's that next level of achievement inside their company. So for me, it was, a little bit of both of that. So a little balance of, family and professional.
Cool. Thank you. I realized I interrupted somebody right when I went to Todd. So who is about to chime in?
Pro- I would say, the progression for me started with all the way back as a young advisor and starting with the education of the LUTCF. We kind of talked about this the other day. So there was progressions there with the education, and that was good training with the LUTCF. Then I served in local Cedar Valley. Then after I did that, I was encouraged to take the Lilly. And then, that progression was over about 10 years. Then the next step was attending a Master Your Mind course that was introduced to us through the state convention. Mm-hmm. And after attending that, I talked to Rob and I said, well, how is this going to be if I do accept and do go into the coaching side of things after I've utilized all these NAIFA tools? I said, how is this going to be different than Lilly? And how is this going to be different than serving in the local affiliates and chapters? And he goes, it's all different, but it's all good. I mean, they're stepping stones and they're blocks that you build on. As far as I'm concerned, not one is right or wrong, but in culmination of all of them, it just all makes you better. You draw from all these different things on a daily basis, whether it be LUTCF, from Lilly, from your coaching. So, I mean, there's no wrong answer. It's a matter of getting involved and doing something. All of the NAIFA stuff was I was encouraged. This was on the coaching side of things was probably the one thing that I truly ventured out on my own because I really felt I'd exhausted all of the tools at that time that NAIFA had to offer. So that's why I reached out to Rob and said, how is this going to be different than all the stuff that NAIFA has provided me with, the war chest of information that's available. And, once we started working together, it was very obvious that route is much different than, the Lilly class. All great things, but they're all different and provide different value. So I guess that'd be my take on it.
Dan, I'm going to jump. Travis, I'm going to get to you in a second, but I gotta tell the story of the spreadsheets because it's one of my favorite things. So when Dane and I met, and I think this kind of ties in with that whole idea of plateauing. Dane had 5, I think it was 5 at the time, cross-linked spreadsheets with leading activities and lagging activities. And dude had just engineered the insert expletive here out of his day-to-day. But you were stuck, right? You weren't stuck. You weren't moving. You were just kind of, I don't want to speak for you, but like you were moving, but just not at the pace I think you wanted it or expected to be moving.
I was spread wide, not deep.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And man, I'll never forget that because you sent that email to me. I think it didn't even come out. I think it got kicked back because the attachments were so big. I'm like, what the heck is this thing, man? And so yeah, that was the thing. Like you had yourself spread so wide, but then you were talking about like you talked about like I've got all this stuff. I've got these. You said the war chest of tools, but we didn't. I don't know that we did anything like remarkable. We just kind of reorganized how and where you use your tools, and that's where I want to say that's where you start to really see some impact. Yep. Travis, I'm gonna go back to you. So like back it up. Like where were you at? What happened? How did you? What got you to where you were like, okay, man, I need some help.
Struggles of getting started in the business and then reaching a certain point in business and just getting pegged at that spot. The firm I work with it's a wonderful fraternal society. We do all sorts of great things in the financial planning field, all different areas. But we had a ton of retirements, illnesses, this, that, and the other. And our brain trust went from 60 to 0 in my first about 16, 18 months. And so I had a huge dearth of thought leadership and guidance and how to be productive, how to build my business, how to shoot at things. And so I reached for it everywhere. And so kind of like Dane, I leaned hard on NAIFA to get a lot of that, a lot of camaraderie with the guys in the Lincoln Highway local, my CEs, getting the classes on the website, all the, like you said, the war chest of information. That really helped me. And like Dane, I was very wide, but not deep. I mean, I had no office staff because I had that picture in my head that if I hire somebody, how am I going to pay for them? I'll just do it myself. I'll stay later. And I worked myself to the bone for nothing. I mean, I was doing even my little reminder postcards for my appointments. Yours truly was filling them out and putting them in the mail. It was just the definition of death by paper cut. And I had a lot of personal challenges in 2016. My business was booming in 17, but I was just a mess internally and I had no vision. And I heard at a NAIFA event, I heard your buddy Roger, your partner Roger, talk. And it kind of grabbed me by you were talking about the collar when we first got on, grabbed me by the collar and said, hey, pal, you need to take a second. Take a 30-foot look at this and see what's going on. And that's what got me.
Cool. Thank you. And so it's interesting that you bring that up because that's one of the big things we talk about with our clients. And I hear, regardless of, I have a lot of coaching, like friends who are coaches. And this is one of the big things that we all get into is you talk about having this vision. And so I know this is something that when I'm working with people, this is a big thing we work on. But I guess my question to you guys is when you look at, okay, so you all decided to get some help from an external source. And like Todd, I know that you had actually done some other stuff on the business prior to even meeting us, Freedom Personal Development. You had hired like an ops guy and, you know, you'd realize like this is what the next level is. But when you look at making a decision to hire a coach and work with a coach, what would you say are like the top one or two things that you learned in that relationship that you were able to implement and see a positive impact on your business and or your life?
So, I mean, just to talk about the couple different coaches that we've used, I think, you know, just like in professional sports teams, they might have, you know, a coach that works just with the pitchers or coach that works just with the, you know, a batting coach. So you can have coaches that are maybe specialists in different areas. So we did have one that was at first, it was much more of an operations, you know, who to hire, who's doing what on the team, what's the communication plan, what's the marketing plan, you know, what is every client seeing for number of touches, you know, so that I would consider that to be maybe more of the details on how to run the operation. And then when we got more into the things that we did with Rob, it was much more with, you know, relating to the overall, you know, direction of the business and where we're heading strategically. And, you know, why are we doing it? What is, you know, what are our core values? What is our vision? How are we moving towards that vision? And how are we making sure that everything's in line with that vision? And so, so how did I make the decision? I think I made the decision because I started talking to other people that were more effective than me inside of my own company, even in other areas, you know, some of it in NAIFA, and I, you know, started to hear, hey, that next step is really used when you have someone else there to give you a different perspective. And that perspective is so key. If you think about it, it's exactly what we give our clients. We give them a different perspective every single day. And why would we not be smart enough to, if we want our clients to hire us to give them perspective, why wouldn't we be smart enough in our own businesses to hire someone else to give us perspective on what we need to do in order to go from step 1 to step 2 and then continue to move up that ladder? Yeah.
Awesome. That's so funny. It's so funny that you say that. It's one of those, and I see this all the time in my business too, where like, I'm just, man, like blinders are on. No, I'm in GSD mode, man. I got to get my stuff done. And then someone's like, yeah, but what about this? It's like, oh yeah. So super funny. Travis, how about you? What would you say was like one of the top 1, 2, 3 things that you learned, implemented, and yeah, go.
The biggest gift that I took away, it was a sharpened focus, and it was 2 big bullets. One, what do I love about this business? I love having fun, meeting people, doing research for them. I'm kind of a nerd. No big shock there, I guess.
What?
And I know, right? And number 2, who are my clients? Like who are the people? We come in, we talk, we connect. We're doing business steadily over the course of 2, 3, 4 years, and the relationship gets stronger. And in turn, my revenue gets stronger, and their financial picture is better filled out. And it was just getting that. Who are my clients? What do I like doing with them? Okay, reproduce those 2 things. It distilled things to simplicity, and I needed that. I am an all over the map guy. It was the simplicity and clarity and focus really was it for me.
Awesome. And so, Dan, it's funny that because it's funny that we're going to you on a segue to that, because I know it's my understanding and my observation that was not too dissimilar from you as well. I mean, we had some fun conversations about gaining clarity on the types of clientele you work with, but I'm going to stop talking and let you dive in with the.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really helped me was getting my core values just cemented. They're whether that people understand it or not, the core values are like your top 5 personality traits, So early on, we focused on that. And from that, again, it's just a daily foundation that I lean on, for decision making and everything. So with that comes clarity. And then with that comes the decisions of, do I want to do this, or do I want to, we called it tabling it. I had a lot of ideas, but just because
spreadsheets. I'm sorry, what?
Spreadsheets, ideas, just because I had ideas didn't make it worth spending time on and effort. I love my spreadsheets. I do. I mean, but that gets you down to the very, very last detail of correct or incorrect,
Yeah.
So
I kid because I love, that, right?
right.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, because all right. So I want to recap a little bit. And for those of you that are just joining us or weren't beginning, this is Rob Zabersky, and we're doing this amazing success breakthrough blueprint with Todd Gullickson, Travis Risvold, and Dane Johnston. We're talking about what are the keys if you want to create a plan for breaking through that next level of success. What are the keys? And so, a couple of things I've heard so far from you guys. Number one is get some external help. Get someone that can take a look with a new perspective on where you're at to help you get to where you want to go, and then gain clarity. And so that's number one. Number two is really work on getting clarity on where it is you actually want to go. If that's size of the business, if that's size of the team, if that's revenue, if that's type of client you prefer to work with. I don't want to speak for you guys, but that's what I'm hearing from you all is like the two so far are get some help and get clear on what it is you really want and how it all ties together.
Right.
That's
Cool.
absolutely right.
I mean, another thing is don't stop learning. We have the LUTCF, is a huge designation. For a lot of people that don't have designations, that could be a tremendous feather in your cap to build confidence. I listen to books, I got a whole library of audiobooks because I don't take the time to sit down and read, but I will listen to a book on corporations, and listen to the whole thing because it's just piped into my ear and into my head. So I think the education's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Call me biased.
Right.
Becoming a student of learning is just one of the number leaders or readers or listeners. Yeah. Anything you can do to continue that journey or that path of learning and education, absolutely going to support you. Other concept that I've kind of heard woven in the conversation here is you've all directly and indirectly talked about staying focused on, I don't want to call it the task at hand, but staying focused on the activities that move you towards that vision. Todd, I remember you and I had the conversation about the Bright Shiny Object Journal, which I've actually shared that. I think that you and I started working on that. That was like, it came up right when you and I were working together, and I've shared with a bunch of other clients. They were like, this is life-changing. Dane, we've done that too. You talk about what are we working on? What are we tabling? Travis, I know that you went through a process of identifying, like filtering out, for lack of a better term, what are the importance and what am I prioritizing? Would you say I want to say that is part of the puzzle too, like what that should be part of the blueprint is, making sure that you're cognizant of what you're working on and when you're working on it. Is that,
yes?
Does anyone want to elaborate on that a little bit?
I would say,
Go ahead.
Travis, go.
Okay, cool. Be aware of what you're doing and when you're doing it. You know, how is this going to further the business? More importantly, and I kind of wrote down, because I wrote down some thought right as we were first getting on, prospect for passion. In other words, you're in this business not just because I get a check and I help my clients get a check when they need it, and that's great. There's something you love about it or aspects of it you love. Go hit that. You know, go hit that. Make that part of your organization throughout your day to focus on the stuff in the business you love, i.e., I like working with young families. So I hit up Roth IRAs, life insurance, 529s, disability, or I'm really into the investment piece. Spend your time reading up a Morningstar. Call your 10 favorite clients and just shoot the bull with them. You'd be shocked how far that goes. Build those passion moments into your day and don't be afraid to own that. That's going to feed you. That's going to feed your clients, feed you emotionally, and it feeds them your professional expertise. That's why they're hiring you. That's why you pay the insurance commission, the investment fee or trail. That's what that's there for. And that it gives you clarity. Like I said, then it's fun. It's energizing to everybody. And it's a great use of your time. And that's number one key thing to learn is how to use your time to win for your client and for you.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick. So many people I talk to, they're almost sleepwalking through the business. You know, they understand they got to pick up the phone. They got to understand they got to type up an email. Especially, listen, it's what is it? It's April 22nd. I don't know how long this thing is going to live and where. It's on the internet, so it's going to live forever. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I haven't left my house in 35 days. I showered today. That was good stuff. But I mean, we're all caught up in this tasky world, you know, and everyone gets stuck on what do I, you know, what's the do, when I would argue, and the work that I share with you, and, you know, I can speak to my work with you guys, is we really took time to step back and go, okay, from a 30,000 foot view, I understand what I need to do. How do I make sure that what I'm doing is most important and supports my goals and where I want to go? Is that kind of in line with what you're talking about to a degree there, Travis?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm thinking, and I was thinking more from the 30-foot, how to build the practice, but also an everyday thing. That was one way that I implemented that, was to go, you know, what's something I love, I'm going to go hit in this business. I'm going to hit that today.
Yeah.
And just make that a habit. That good habit just builds more positive things down the road.
It's funny how that works, huh? Dane, I'll go to you on that question. We were discussing, you know, I don't even know what we were discussing. Actually, we had such a fantastic tangent. I lost my train of thought. But while I'm coming back to it, I will say, for those of you listening in or watching, the chat is open. So I got a bunch of questions. Hopefully this is a valuable, hopefully you guys are getting some good nuggets out of this already. If you got specific questions for these guys or myself, drop them in the chat. If you agree with what we're talking about, drop that in there. Let's make this interactive. I don't want anybody sleeping on us. We got a fantastic question from Todd. You have your wife or significant other cut your hair. That's in the middle of the pandemic. That's how you get the Avengers hair like I have. So anyway, we were discussing, like, what were some of those key things that you implemented from our coaching. And so Travis, you were talking about having that prospecting for purpose or prospecting with passion. That was kind of one of your big takeaways. Dane, what would you say is one of the big lessons that you learned and things that you implemented as we left the coach, you know, when you weren't working with your coach? Well, what were you able to implement and do on an ongoing basis?
Looking back to the very beginning of my career, you know, to where I'm at today, one of the easiest things that we can do is set goals. And we can set goals. This is my spreadsheet thing. We can set goals for our family. We can set goals for our business. We can set goals for hobbies, and I categorize them. But that's one of the things that I learned how to do better, you know, with a coach. But from the very beginning, I set goals of calling 30 people a week, calling 60 dials tonight, whatever it is. But it's amazing how powerful just writing down those goals are. And you circle back to, like, some of the goal sheets that I had, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, these goals somehow, some way got accomplished that, I wrote down one time. But then now I start looking at them once a week, once a day, and revising them and making some goals crazy, huge, large, and in most people's mind, not attainable. And some goals need to be done by the end of the day. Some goals need to be done by the end of the week. So, I mean, it's building that out to a sometimes a crazy, wild fetched goal. Like, I don't know what your 10 times 10 times your income goal, what you made last year, take it times 10 and write it down. I mean, it might be crazy in your mind, but it might be just a big enough number that it changes your behavior to change. So I would say that, throughout my career, when things start to get slow, when things start to get derailed, the goals is what always brings me back, and the education brings me back. But, Rob, what he did is he showed me how to do it better than just writing down 10 things and I want this. That's where, the quantum leap took place about 15 years into my career. So I mean, the big thing is that anybody can do the goals just to get started, so that's.
So I got a question for you.
Sure.
So I make a lot of ridiculous recommendations every now and again. When you're talking about do things better, do things a little bit different, what would you say is, and I'm going to put you on the spot, like what was the craziest suggestion that I made to you that you implemented that actually worked?
There was a time that you said, do this twice a day for basically 6 months, which was basically just reviewing my goals twice a day for 6 months. And I did it. And then after that 6-month period, I just said, it's weird, Rob, because this stuff is just showing up. Accounts are showing up in these ridiculous numbers. And I don't know how it happened. And he goes, well, you attracted what you wanted and it just found you. So it was like the laws of attraction. But by that repetition of thought, it made spring of 2018 my best and easiest spring ever.
That's okay. My favorite word that you just used is easiest.
Everything has gotten easier. It hasn't gotten harder. I took 8 weeks vacation last year.
Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. No, I know that's pretty awesome.
I wasn't NAIFA-Iowa president last year. I didn't have a lot of other responsibilities, but that was one of my goals, is to take a little bit more time off than probably the normal person in the field.
Yeah. Travis, I'm going to go to you. Thank you, Dan. I'm going to go with the same question to you. Like, I know I wasn't part of your process, but you had some interesting suggestions made to you as well. I'm curious, what was one of the top things that you implemented? Like, I want to say, what was the craziest thing that was suggested to you that actually worked?
I can answer that directly. And it's real similar to Dane. It's the process of writing down positive statements about yourself. I'm going to put it this way, that you know to be true, they haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
We call them positive affirmations. And you might hear other people refer it as things like think and be rich. Not totally comfortable with that concept. But what the affirmations did was they put forth things that I knew that this is the production level I'm capable of, and I'm going to hit it. And that's what I would say. Here's the number. I'm capable of this, and I'm going to hit it because I am very good at my job. It sounds so Stuart Smalley to say that. But then you know what? Just like Dane said, the people you meet, the situations you run into, the relationships you build, and you go, that was easy, that was lucrative, and my clients are in a wonderful position, and I'm in a wonderful position, and you go, this is sick. This is insane. So it's the importance of writing down who you want to be and address yourself as though you're already there, because I guess another way to put it, you are, and you just haven't found that yet. Is that a good descriptor? I don't know. But,
Yeah.
but you're there, you're unlocking that within yourself
Mm-hmm.
is what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to come back to that, but Todd, I want to get
Please.
the same response, or I want to ask you the same question. What would you say is one of the most ridiculous things you heard, but once you did it, it actually worked for you?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's ridiculous, but the easiest, it sounds so easy, but you never do it, right? Is starting at your, I think everything I always measured was in dollars. And then I figured out there's a point where it's hard to put what those dollars mean to you as far as a goal. So, hey, I want more money. Well, what does that mean, right? So why are you doing it? And so I think the easiest, but yet probably, I don't know if it ridiculous would come in there, but was getting down to the core values and truly what is our vision, and then using that as that guiding. I mean, that for me, probably it was the hardest because it made me stop doing everything that I was doing and to refocus on what it was going to be. And then to constantly measure all the things I'm doing, whether I'm getting closer to that or further away. And I did it as a partner with my business partner and brother, which, can you imagine two people that have opposite personalities that are in business together and also related, trying to make planning decisions? And we were doing it together with a coach, Rob, and that was pretty ridiculous, because that's how the next shiny object discussion happened, right? Like we would say, we'd be in the middle of, all of a sudden, yeah, this is great. And then all of a sudden next week, we'd be like, hey, but we got this other idea. Look at this. We could do this type of business, right? We could help out with this type of planning. We should talk to people about that. It's like the next shiny object. But we learned that by doing that, you're always kind of having to search out for that. And you never have that baseline or that basics, that blocking and tackling that you need to have. And the blocking and tackling we needed to have was a common core of, where are we heading on a vision and what is it we're trying to do? And so, getting back to tracking some of our, baseline metrics, not having 5 Dane spreadsheets, just having one, right, that you're tracking everything on. Sorry, Dane, love you, man. So for us, it sounds so easy, but it's actually having somebody to challenge you to have to get your vision to what you truly want. And that vision for me wasn't more money. It was, the overall feeling of security is great, but it's also the overall balance of life and having more time with my family and having more ability to enjoy all the different things that come with it. So I don't know, that doesn't really fit in ridiculous, Rob, but I morphed it into what I wanted to say anyway. So
let me think about it. 100% okay. Well, so this is me. This is why, man, thank you guys so much for being a part of this panel. It's not about me, but I'm having a blast with this. There's a golden thread that just came out of all of you, that this is my interpretation, and hopefully the folks on the call or on the conference are picking up on this themselves. But the goal was to make sure that we understand what are some of the pieces that go into the blueprint, right? What are the pieces that make up the puzzle? We talked about the idea of getting help. We talked about the idea of gaining clarity. And then where I think what I just heard from all of you directly and indirectly is the idea of being coachable and being open and knowing that you don't know it all and being okay with that, but being uncomfortably okay with that.
Yes.
If that makes sense. I think that's where we talk about a lot. The whole idea of, elevating your comfort zone is really what we're talking about here, is just having a level of self-awareness that, okay, here's where I am. I want to get to here. And I know that I need to do something that's maybe a little weird. Yeah. I gotta look at 6 words on a piece of paper twice a day for 6 months. Or no bleep, you want to make more money, but okay, like, I want more money doesn't work for me because I've been wanting more money my entire life and I don't have more money. Well, what do you want? I want 10 times more money. And then Dane, going to you, like, I love you, like, be open to the idea of setting a 10x goal. And I mean, I'm not one to sandbag. I'm not one to like tolerate mediocrity, but if the worst thing that happens is you come in at 80% of a 10x goal, you going to be okay with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gets you excited, just to take last year's income and add 10% to it. that's good, but is it great?
Yeah.
10xing it sometimes is a different way to look at it. One of the things that, Master Your Mind class talked about was being uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, it probably means you're growing because you're in a spot that you haven't been before. One of the things that happened was I built a house in 2015, and I was very uncomfortable when I did it, but I knew that's what I wanted. And then throughout the whole time, my business adapted, my business grew. We were able to build the house, no problems. Everything went smooth, but it was very uncomfortable, but it was good. So hiring an employee, taking a class, getting involved, hiring a coach, those are all things that probably are going to push you out of your comfort zone. But when you feel that, you can feel like you're growing. And some people get used to feeling that, and some people don't like to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I guarantee when Todd bought his computer and you hired your staff, on different things that throughout NAIFA, throughout coaching,
Mm-hmm.
throughout Lily, I've been very uncomfortable, but it's pushed me personally to be a better person.
So Dane, if I could jump on behind on that comment before Rob gets to speak again. One of the things I found so I've used multiple coaches. One of the things I found is a coach is only as good as you allow yourself to be coached, as he mentioned earlier. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, how was that coach? We won't even say a name, just to, and they say, well, it did all right, but yeah, I kind of got out of it. What ends up happening is it's more of my mental energy to put in what needs to be put in to get out what you're going to get out. So what I have found, and again, everybody can do their own thing, is what I've spent on coaching, both financially and mentally, because that's just as much of an investment, has always had that return that is exponential. Now, you can go through the motions with a coach, and it does you no good at all from what I've noticed, because I've been in that mode before where we had a previous coach that we were just kind of continuing like a maintenance mode, and we weren't really getting much done, and we weren't really talking through things. We're just kind of, almost chit-chatting and keeping as friends, right? And during that time, it wasn't worth it. And so if you want to go and hire a coach, make sure you don't only put the money towards it, but you put the mental energy towards it. And I'll bet you if you have people that were honest with themselves and in front of a group, which this is like a counseling episode, lay it all out, right?
Tell me more.
Tell me more. You'd find that your results will be exactly the same as all these others that put the effort in. And there is some type of return. And some could say, well, I'm going through this horrible time. Why would this be the time? And my response to you is, when is the right time? I mean, is there ever a right time? Are my kids ever gonna, hell, my kids are home from school now and I got to try to get them doing stuff while I'm trying to work from home sometimes. Maybe I got a spouse that can take care of some of the time, but they're gone too. There's never a better time than right now, because there's always a reason to wait. If you're a client, you're waiting until the end of tax time, and then tax time comes and it's summer and they're going on vacation and they don't want to do that. And then all of a sudden they get back in school and they're busy with activities, right? And then, oh, nope, it's the holidays. We can't do anything right now. And all of a sudden we just blew a whole year. That time you'll never get back. And so don't do to yourself what you're trying to convince your clients not to do, and seize the moment and do it now. So.
Travis, you're in full, look at that's like a mic drop thing. That's a double mic drop.
I got nothing else to add. That's fabulous and 100% true.
That's funny. Go ahead.
I was just saying, when I reached out and figured out that I needed the help, was I at a financial or emotional place to do those things?
No.
You know what? The 2 years since, just like Todd said, just like Dane said, go in, open mind, willing to learn, willing to try, willing to be coached, and you will be changed. the money no longer an issue, and the long-term benefit is significant. And now is a time, man, we've all got time for growth now. We've all got time to really challenge our base business practices and grow them. Now is a great time to challenge yourself, find a coach, get some new information, make yourself better.
That's all. Yeah. Thank you, Trevor. And that's a perfect segue. My next question is, like, obviously I'm not gonna play dumb. We're in a unique situation. We're literally living through unprecedented, from what I can tell, at least not in my lifetime, we're living in unprecedented times. And there's thank you, Jim. We're dealing with things that we've never dealt with. We're dealing with situations we've never dealt with. We're dealing with a lot of there's a lot of external factors and turbulence, for lack of a better term, out there. And I'd be curious to know, like, obviously you had your business. I mean, Dane, we've been talking, you and I have been talking kind of like through this whole last couple of months. Like you and I, like, we've talked through the transition of, like, from shelter in place not being existent to, I don't know if it's even still in place in Iowa or not yet, but like where I'm at, we're literally like day 36 or something like that. But my question is this: what tools do you have at your discretion or disposal now that are helping you facilitate or manage your mental game in the current climate? Like, what's helping you get up in the morning, stay motivated, showing up to be the best version of you, and when you lay your head down on your pillow at night, knowing that you gave it your all?
I mean, I was talking with somebody, and they were talking about the future. And there's gloom and doom, and there's the silver lining and the optimistic one. And I said, well, whichever one you choose, you're right. Because today, it's your choice what the future holds. If you want it to be gloom and doom and the biggest depression, a year from now, it may or may not be. But why would you choose that reality today when you can choose, blue skies and everything's going to turn out fine? Because we don't know what the future is going to have for us. So if you have a future to look at and to choose to embrace, why would you embrace the negative one? So, I mean, that's how I help my clients.
So clarity in how you make your choices. I'm going to distill it down for you.
Yeah.
Or for us, hopefully, it's like you've really heightened your clarity in what you choose, paying attention to your choices.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I'm trying to be the beacon of positivity for our clients. They call in with gloom and doom, and I try to send them on their call laughing and smiling, and it's going to be okay. That's my job right now.
Awesome. And so where'd that stem from? Is that a learned thing, or is that a naturally occurring thing?
I think it's an evolved thing. It's something that I've always kind of inherently had, but then by crafting it into my core values, by crafting it, it's just cemented again there in my core values. The core values is a major part of our coaching relationship, that what solidified that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have it before the way it is structured today. Being positive, it was always kind of been in my back pocket to speak of, but
yeah. Well, it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to have it top of mind and have it be like a foundation that you operate from.
Yeah, it was crafted and strengthened, and now it's solidified as one of my 5.
Awesome. Todd, same question to you, man. What obviously what tools do you have that are helping you continue to grow, continue to sustain and hopefully grow your business regardless of what's going on?
Well, I mean, tool-wise, everybody's got the same stuff, I think, as it relates to technology. I think what this has done, I guess my baseline of what gets me going is, number one, I'm positive like Dane. Number two, I think of that vision of what I want down the road. One of the things that was in my vision is to eventually get to a point where I could work remotely for maybe 1 or 2 months of the year. I love Iowa, but I wouldn't mind maybe a little bit of Florida weather in, say, January and February for the whole month.
Why not?
And, one of my goals to be in 15 years would be, hey, could I work for a month or maybe 2 months from a remote location? Well, this is teaching me right now how to operate completely different. One of the things that was said to me one time is you know if you have a successful business if you're able to leave your business for 2 weeks and everybody else, everything can still continue to run. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen my office. I'm in it today, but I've seen my office a lot less in the last 5 weeks, and it's still running. And we all know what probably our biggest issue in our world is it's about what are we filling the funnel with right now that's going to hit us in, say, 3 to 6 months. I mean, that is really my biggest concern as a business owner right now is it's not the money right now, it's the money in 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
You know, how am I going to pay everybody? I'm going to do all these different things. And so I have to continue to work to do that. Now, and then where I drive personally from is I had somebody tell me early on, and he was a sales manager of mine. He said, when I go home at night, I got to think about the fact that when I look in the mirror, what do my kids think of my effort for the day? I mean, have you ever thought about that and put that in the back of your head every single day? If you have kids, it's a lot easier to do that. If you don't have kids, maybe, I mean, I don't know if you're
borrow some kids
the right way. But you know, if you think about it, you look in the mirror and you say, hey, what would my kids, I'm not going to tell them every bit, but what would they think of the effort that I gave to the day to do the things that I have on my particular list that need to be done? And once you start to think about that, that changes your life. You're like, wow. I mean, they're not going to know what it means if you came home and said, hey, I made this many calls, or I grabbed this many new prospects, or I got this many referrals, or I helped this many people with, you know, making these changes in their life. But man, it sure does change how things feel when you start to think about it. So personally, I kind of, you know, that so it was drilled into me one time, and I'll think about that every single day. So
awesome. It's awesome. Travis, we'll wrap this up and let you answer this one, then we'll start to wrap this one up. What tools do you have now, or what, you know, what knowledge have you gained that's really helped you navigate the current climate?
The big thing is be beautiful in the basics, focus on the fundamentals. For me, that's being true to myself. I think of clients I love and concepts that I love. What are my clients' pain points? What can I look at? And second off, I think about folks that are flexible, modalities that are flexible. Can I see them on Zoom? Do I need to send them some stuff in the mail? Are there things I can send via PDF they can send back? Can they do that? And I look, and I love that Todd was talking about the funnel. That's what this is all about. This is all about what's going to be here in July and August, not what's here today. And in July and August, it's going to be October and November you're working toward. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Gone back to the basics, back to specific folks, specific concepts, and just kept working. That came from great training at the hands of NAIFA. That came from the mentors that I had with Modern Woodman as they were kind of on the way out the door. And it came from some great coaching that I got.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So let's start to wrap this one up a little bit, because I know we're coming up on the end of the hour here. This has been a blast. I hope you guys have had fun. I'm having a riot, man. But I want to go back to the goal was to make sure that people are walking out here with, or, you know, hanging up or whatever you want to go with, a couple of nuggets. So let's kind of recap, and I'm gonna go with what I'm gonna kind of shoot from, you know, from the top of my head. Or what I got was, you know, look to get some help, get a mentor, get a coach, get an accountability partner, get someone that can help lend some perspective to your situation, and hopefully help you gain perspective on where you want to go. Have a clear vision for what you want. Stay on top of your mental game. You know, Dan, we talked about the you know, the positivity in the mental game. Travis, I love your be brilliant with the basics. That's a great one. And Todd, and we kind of rehashing again, but just what's come up is clarity in what that is you really want and why it's important to you. And I love that you're, I'm just kind of go back on this. I would love to get away from the office for 2 months, and all of a sudden you have the opportunity to work remotely.
Yep.
In the current climate. The universe works in mysterious ways, man.
Sure does.
It's all good. But because, and then the be open. This speaks right to that concept of just really be open and available for what presents itself. Because I don't think you could have hammered away, want to be in Florida, want to be in Florida, want to be in Florida. You're like, no, I just want to work remotely. You know, like right now, remotely means home, but maybe that's Costa Rica. I don't know.
Right.
Perfect. So Yeah, I don't want to like Maury Povich this thing with final thoughts, but if anybody's got any last golden nuggets to share with the group, and then I'll let people know if they want to have a conversation about getting some mentorship in their life. I'll tell them where they can go from here. But Todd, you're on my screen, so any final nuggets you want to share with everybody?
I would just say that sometimes that jump to do anything different is always going to be hard, and challenge yourself to do that. I mean, have that leap of faith that that you can do it. If you go with an open mind, I think you might be surprised what you get, and I challenge you to try it. So I think that's all I really have. I'm pretty darn happy with all those decisions I made to hire coaches, and I think I'm sitting better now than I would have been had I not done that and not been open.
Yeah, and God bless the laptop. God bless the $3,000 laptop.
Yep.
Got
exactly.
you. It set you on the course, man. It was
did.
that first domino.
It did.
Perfect. Travis, how about you, man?
Don't be afraid to make yourself better. That's really what it is you sit there and you go, I want to be this, I want to be that, but do I want to stick my neck out there? Don't be afraid. You're in this business for a reason. Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? You tried and you're the same place you were, but you tried. You're one step further ahead. Don't be afraid.
Awesome. Love it. Dane, finish strong, my man.
Well, I would say look at your priorities, and you look at, all your priorities in life. If self-improvement, if education, if a higher income is a priority, just like everything else, you have to work on it. So you have to reach out and get involved in something different, i.e. some of the stuff we've talked about today. You have to get involved to make that a priority, because busy doesn't cut and busy doesn't make the goals. You achieve your goals. You just have to make it a priority. And that's just the plain simple. It has to be a priority to get better.
Yep. Get
However
clear on what you want and why it's most important to you. That's what we talk about. Awesome. Hey, we're coming up at the end of the hour. Thank you guys. I really appreciate taking the time to be here. I'm imagining people know how to get a hold of you, but if not, do you want to just drop your email address, your contact information in the chat, or if you want to just blurt it out. I know for me, it's robbz@deliverfreedom.com. Feel free to reach out if you want to have a conversation about what some coaching might look like for you. I'd welcome that conversation. Hey, I ain't going anywhere. You know where to find me. So Todd's in there. T-Riz is in there. I'm going to drop mine at deliverfreedom.com. And yeah, feel free to reach out. I can't speak for these guys, but I mean, listen, there's a reason these guys were asked to be on this panel. They're great resources. They're great mentors. I think all of them would be available if you had any questions and reaching out. So with that, thank you all for joining us. If this was a ton of fun, let Dane and let the folks at NAIFA-Iowa know, and
Please do.
happy to see if we can set something else, set another one of these up there down the road. Other than that, I will leave you with my personal mantra. It's time to make the donuts. So you guys get out of here. Have an awesome rest of your day and killer rest of your week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.